Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair and join the Trader Coffee Break.
All right, guys. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a nice week so far. This is the Trader Coffee Break. And if this is the first time you're listening, this is where we get away from the charts, grab a coffee, grab a water, and we just have a little bit of a rant, really, on topics and discussions on stuff that you don't really hear frequently discussed, particularly in the education world. You know, these are the kind of the underworld conversations, the things you have to find out yourself. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Before I just introduce my co-partner here, let me just make sure that I've got the right sound, because we haven't done this for a while. We had an issue with Zoom, and we had an issue with Zoom, basically, and it was... It was in the US. As usual. Yeah. It was something to do with connection between the US, but anyway, just give us a yes in the comments if you can hear everything loud and clear. We're a little bit rusty, so hopefully it's not too affected. But this week, we're basically doing a conversation that we meant to do last time, back in early June, when was the last time we did it. And it's about hacks. It's called Trading Hacks, but it's really kind of the little things to help you stay profitable, help you stay successful when you're ongoing, when your trading's ongoing. So bear with me just a sec. I'm just going to sort out Akil's sound. Bear with me, Akil. I just have to cut you off the stream a minute. But if you've got any questions on, how to be successful once you're successful, anything you're struggling with right now, let us know what you're struggling with. And I'm just going to cut to the little holding page for a sec whilst I sort out Akil's sound. Bear with me 2 secs. Get the questions coming in while we do this.
Just gonna yell.
All right, we're back. Akil, give us a yes. Hopefully everyone can hear you now. Go for it.
Should have pretended to speak and been on mute.
There you go. Akil, you can definitely hear Akil now, because I can hear him coming through the switches. So
I'm back.
Excellent. So we're going to be talking about some hacks. Now, as I said, these are things that are really things that when you get into trading and you're kind of finding your feet and you're consistently profitable, or you're kind of just on that verge, the things that you never saw coming, or struggles that you didn't necessarily see coming, and things that you can do that can really help you maintain consistent profits, and all that good stuff. So how should we kick this off, Akil? What do you think is a good one to start with?
Well, I guess I would say that just first and foremost, before we get into specific hacks, I think me and you would both agree that there are different levels of success. There is the path from becoming, I guess, I want to call it unsuccessful, but the journey to becoming successful. And then there's the next level of success. And I always thought that taking it to the next level of success is even harder than becoming successful in the first place. Because when you're trying to become successful in the first place, you have that drive, you have that desire, you've got that back against the wall. I've got to do it. My life is on the line, or my livelihood is on the line. And you're giving all this effort. There's this urgency to do it. And typically that urgency is what drives you to do the things that you wouldn't do otherwise. And we both have pictures of, that our wife took of us, laying and passed out in front of a computer or on a couch, because we're putting in 20-hour days trying to study hard to master a specific task. And it's kind of like a relationship, right? You work very hard at the beginning of a relationship to impress your partner. And then once you kind of get them, once you're married, you stop doing some of the small things that you did before. And I think success is the same way. I think trading is the same way. People work massively hard to become successful at trading. And then once they've achieved success, they found a system, a strategy, they've back tested it, they're trading it, they've limited their psychological errors. They kind of fall back and relax a little bit. And if you're not moving forward continuously and consistently, you're going to be moving backwards. So, but it's kind of hard to motivate yourself to take it to the next level when you feel like you're already at that level. Yeah. So I think when it comes to the biggest hack is consistently working on your craft, consistently having that mindset where it's like, hey, I can't settle. I have to continue to work on my craft. I have to continue to improve, get better. I know something you've mentioned that you do is you always do some sort of continued education, whether it's a book or, a webinar or taking a course. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Always. I think what you just said is bang on. I think the big problem is there's being honest with yourself and continuously working on yourself is, how can I put it? There's no real great importance usually of self-review. So there's no accountability of self-review, right? So, there's no grand consequence of telling a little white lie day to day or not doing what you're saying you should. There's nothing, like there's no consequence for that. So if you're trying to lose weight and you want to, you go to the gym and you start off on the first week really well and you're going to the gym and you're eating well, and then, we're losing all the kind of tech, we're having all the tech issues today. But yeah, let's just say that you're doing that. And then on the second week, let's just say that you think, oh, the alarm clock's gone off. I feel a little bit stiff. Shall I go today? Shan't I go today? And you've got a choice. You can not go. And no one is really going to slap your wrist. You'll just put it down to tiredness or some kind of other thing. And that habit just goes on and on and on. And there's no one to tell you that you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, right? So I think being honest with yourself and making sure that you are holding yourself accountable to continuously develop. And even if that's just having a routine for continuously developing, the way I did it, as Akil mentioned, is I literally shave off 10% of my income. Since I've 21, I've done this, and it goes into an account for my development. And then I go out and I have to spend that money on development of some kind, which is why I'm always doing these accelerators and business programs and have mentorships and mastermind groups, because I have to spend it. And I know from doing that, it yields a return, it yields a result, and I grow year on year as a result of that. And when you start to see that progress and you see that, I mean, I don't, I'm not arrogant, big-headed, or blow my own trumpet, but I can see what I've achieved, and I love what I've achieved so far. And I know those results come as a result of me making that decision to continuously develop. And I know that although it's intangible, when you first put that money towards your development, it always pays off. It always pays off, because it's like an accelerated lesson that you're going to get, which you wouldn't get, or it might take you years to get that lesson just trudging through life. So, it's definitely worth doing. The question is, how do you ensure that you're being honest with yourself? How do you know that you're picking up everything that is something that's not in your best interest or in favor of you developing or growing? And that takes amazing awareness, self-awareness, self-review.
I think that's the massive difference. And I was just talking to, I coach athletes, and I always try to find motivational stuff to share from. I just saw something online that I shared before we started here, where it was an athlete talking about the sacrifice he makes, where, he has to lose his mind to not be the person that wakes up 9 o'clock every morning, to not go to bed at 5 o'clock, to not give in to the desires of not training, not eating right. Like, he's basically sacrificed all of this for that goal. And that's very hard. But, we can talk about you can watch all the motivational stuff in the world. You can have all the accountability partners in the world, like stuff like that helps. But at the end of the day, like, you have to make a decision within yourself. Are you going to be different? Like, are you willing to sacrifice, be uncomfortable, and do what's needed to be done to be successful, or continue to be successful and make that sacrifice? And sometimes you need a push, and that goes, about who you surround yourself with, because I'm sure you have days and weeks and months where you don't feel like doing anything, and someone's there like, come on, go ahead and do it. Stop being a punk. And like, that little bit of motivation gets you up on your off days, but something inside has to drive you to do it. And I know with us personally, we're fortunate where, what we do for a living in the trading world is, we coach and we trade. We're automatically in that environment where we're always helping others. We're automatically in that environment where people are asking questions. And so we're kind of driven towards that continued education, because we always want to learn so that we can better ourselves as coaches. And I know one of the hacks that I've done for a long time is, I call it kind of like the technical sandbox, is I just spend time on chart.
Yeah.
Right. I know that time on chart is probably the most important thing that has happened in my trading. Now, obviously, you got to know how to do the right things to become a consistently profitable trader, but spending time in the market is something I love doing. And I'd like to spend time just observation, right? I like to look at random charts at random times and just make predictions. I'm not following my strategy. I'm just clicking through and saying, look at that. I bet we're going to do this. Wrong or right? Oh, look at that. I bet we're going to do that, or that looks interesting. And even at first, I'm not taking notes, right? Maybe once something starts to turn into like a trend, then I'm like, okay, I've seen this before. But at first, I'm just watching. And I remember you saying this before in general about, it was coming off the topic. It was in your podcast. It was coming off the topic of freedom of time. And a lot of people say they want financial freedom, but what they really want is freedom of time. And people think they want freedom of time so that they can do whatever they want, whenever they want. And yes, that's, that's one of the luxuries of it. But what freedom of time gives you is, you said that it gives you time where you're not forced to do anything, and it gives your brain a chance to kind of relax. And when your brain is relaxed, it becomes more creative. And when you're more creative, that's when you think of your best ideas. So going into a chart with no intentions of trading, no intentions of back testing, just kind of looking and playing around, right? Your mind starts to become more creative, and you start to see things that you wouldn't see before. Because normally, like, if we're looking at a chart, we're looking for very specific things. Like, how you trade, I know how I trade. Like, I'm not looking at anything aside from like, what do I need to execute my trade? So I'm kind of blinded, or I have tunnel vision for this one specific thing. But there's so much more out there that we could be taking advantage of that we don't necessarily see unless we give ourselves that time for creativity. So I love that time in the chart, the trader sandbox, just go in and play around and make some observations, make some predictions, and, see what comes up.
Yeah. And look, this is a great segue onto what I was going to talk about, because I think when you mentioned tunnel vision on your system, ultimately, the biggest reason that traders struggle is just down to fear and greed. Like, that is it. That's the only reason really that you're going to change up or go and search for something else. So a lot of people do that. They go and search for something else or try something, go and find something else. And I can promise you that every system with trading, it's kind of a journey of 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, right? So you want to take 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and you want to do that forever. Like, that is all you want to do as a trader. There's no forward steps only. Like, and if there is, and if anyone knows of something like that, then just, I'll DM you my bank account details. But the thing is this. if people spent more time, their free time on investing into overcoming those fears and those greeds rather than jumping ship and spending money on a new coach or a new system or whatever it might be, they'd be a lot better off. So my biggest hacks are all psychological, and it's all dealing with fear and greed. So in my opinion, there's 4 main fears that these traders have. One's being wrong. 2 is losing money. 3 is missing out on a trade. And then 4 is leaving money on the table. And the last 2 are more of a kind of a greed thing where, you see you leave money on the table. So you see you get out of the trade and it continues to rally and you think, this is what I could have won. Or if you don't take the trade and you miss out, you're like, if I'd got in that, if my stupid system would have got me into that, I would have got this much money. And there are things you can do to work on those things. So being wrong, like, you're never wrong, right? So just identify what happened. There's no wrong or right. The market doesn't say you're wrong or right. It just something happens, right? So if you feel like you're wrong, try and ask yourself, what have you learned from that particular trade, that particular setup? How will you implement that lesson going forward in your trading going forward? How much money did it cost you this time by not being correct with the prediction? How much has it earned you, in the long run for learning that lesson? What would have been the downside to you of being in the trade, and what would you not have learned? And when you try and force these kind of questions on these, as an exercise, you really neutralize these fears and these greeds, right? Losing money. If you're scared of losing money, ask yourself, why are you scared of losing money? Is it because your mum and dad were always moaning about it? Is it like really get to the root of it? And then what you can do for losing money is just make sure you've got a solid risk management strategy in place and revisit it and refine it and tighten up on it and make sure that it's really giving you peace of mind so that you don't have that fear anymore of losing money and you don't have the fear of being wrong anymore, right? And missing out, make sure that you're trading a system and you're revising, you're optimizing the system and making sure that you're increasing your aggression maybe if with professionally, not just going, right, next time I'm going to take the trade. Just say, right, what filter was I waiting for that didn't play out, that didn't allow me to get into this trade? And how many times has that happened in the past? And maybe you drop that filter, but you're doing it methodically and you're doing it professionally. So, yeah, I mean, those are some great habits and things that you want to focus on rather than looking for another system or another strategy or another coach or another educator or another, just put the effort onto that. And I promise you'll get there.
I tell you what, I love that. It reminds me of my college days, which don't really want to revisit those days, but so my first semester in college and university was pretty bad, right? My grades were, because I didn't really do much in high school. I did enough just to kind of get whatever my dad bribed me with to graduate, right? I didn't really have a big interest in going to school, but I played sports and I knew if I wanted to play sports, I had to be enrolled and take classes and all that stuff. So I remember my first semester, my mindset was I do the work. So I would take a test or write a paper, and then the teacher would give it back and there'll be all these, cross outs or wrong answers. And I would just be like, okay, well, I'll just wait till next test and I'll get a better grade. Right. So I'm never asking myself the questions of how I could improve. It was just okay, this was the result. I'll try better next time without any actual plan how to try better. And my second semester in school, my second year, my dad kind of threatened me a little bit and I, upped my game a little bit. And I started doing one simple task. And it's exactly what you said. Instead of just getting that paper, that report back or that test back and being okay, not a grade I wanted, but I'll do better next time. I did a simple thing. I started asking my professor, hey, why did I get this wrong? What can I do better? And believe it or not, that professor would give me tips. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you did this. Oh, you need to work on that. And then I had very specific things that I would work on. And then next time I actually did better. It's amazing, right? And it's exactly what you said. The only difference is instead of necessarily having that professor or that accountability partner to do it, you have to raise your own questions. You have to be willing to ask yourself all of the questions that you just mentioned. And like we've mentioned before, most people are not willing to do that. But if you ask yourself, how can you improve? Because, most improvements come from doing things wrong, right? I mean, that's how we improve in general, right? Look at all inventions, right? You try, you fail, you try, you fail, you try, you fail. Again, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. That's how you improve. If you consistently do that over time, you're going to start filling in all those gaps. You're going to stop making all those mistakes. You're going to start learning little tips about how you can get better. And then, believe it or not, you're going to get better. And it is so simple, but hard, because in general, most people aren't willing to ask themselves those questions, aren't willing to do those small things, because those aren't the sexy things. It's much easier to find a new strategy. It's much easier to go to YouTube and ask the question on YouTube and have someone give me something else to do and then do that. But long run, it's going to leave you in the same situation. Definitely.
And trading is one of the very few very few businesses that it can warp your whole psychology. And what I mean by that is, you can win trades and think your system's crap, or you can lose trades and think let me give you an example. Let's just say that one trader places a trade and it starts going against them, and they're like, oh, that's a bit disappointing. And then it goes massively against them, and they go, oh no, I'm going to get stopped out on this one. And then it goes up and they come out at a $50 profit. That trader might say, oh, brilliant, I earned money on that in the long run. On the other hand, you could have another trader who the entry triggers, it runs at a massive profit, $1,000 profit, right? And then overnight it runs at a $5,000 profit because there's some news. And then when they wake up in the morning, it comes down and they've earned $1,000. They will think it's crap. They will go, damn, this system's crap. I've only, I only earned $1,000. I could have earned $6,000, $10,000. So it doesn't matter, whatever happens in the market, you are going to have negative emotions to what's happening if you're not working on that and mastering that, because you can win money and still be disappointed. It's the most crazy phenomenon that I've ever seen in any business, but that's how traders act. Right.
And that's why what we do is so difficult. It's not difficult. I mean, don't get us wrong. We're not saying the markets are easy. You can't just pick them up and do stuff randomly. Right. But the most difficult part is the management of self. The management of self. And it shows, it just proves in general, as a society, we have issues doing that, because if we didn't, there'd be a lot more successful traders if we were better at managing ourselves, knowing that the actual skill of trading is something that is trainable. So it's very interesting. And I'm sure that it goes into many other aspects. Again, like you mentioned, diets and nutrition. And it's there's so many, business in general, so many other things that it floods into. But I think you're dead on. The biggest hack is understanding yourself, being honest with yourself, and then being willing to take the actions that you need to take, and looking at the actual trading specific stuff as being secondary, because it really doesn't matter what you do in the charts if you don't fix what's in here.
Absolutely. And I see people all the time, they're looking for a strategy, looking for how to invest, how to trade, how to, how to build passive income streams and build businesses and all this. And then the first question I ask is, why haven't you got it now? And they're like, oh yeah, but I always find myself doing other things, or I always let myself down because I got a fear of this and fear of that. And I say, well, what's the point of me giving you another strategy? Because that's all you're going to do when I give you that. You're not going to do it. You need to master your mind. So although all of these physical activities are very important, keeping healthy, doing things, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, doing regular tasks that go against what you would choose to do, because with trading, it's just you against you. So you do have to exercise that discipline. I don't want to go to the gym every day, but I do, because some days I feel like I really don't want to go and push weights, but I go in there because I go, right, if I fail at this, I'll fail at everything. And I have that mindset, and I go in there and I do it, and that's great. Having all those physical things and those kind of tangible things that you can do, and looking at the charts. But I believe that if you don't master your mind, you're not going to master the markets. You're not going to master trading. And I kind of think a good way to finish this off is I put a post out on my social media the other day, and I said, if you give the average person a strategy that will definitely make them a millionaire in 10 years, they will probably modify the strategy in an attempt to realize the results in just 1 year. And in doing so, will create a routine wherein they'll never become a millionaire in 10 years or 1 year, because the same greedy psychology that caused them to change the initial strategy will happen again and again and again every time their system isn't producing massive results in the short term. So you master your mind and then you master the market. Don't
forget, they'll probably blame you too for the failure. Your strategy's broken. It's you. It's your fault. You sold them a BS strategy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
That part. They will never accept blame for what they did. It'll be your fault. The strategy doesn't work, and you'll get written up on some type of Google, some Reddit page about being a fraud. It's crazy. It is, but that's true. And what we want to do is, and when I say we, you guys watching this, is you want to be different.
Yeah.
You want to separate yourself. You know what the other side looks like.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what to do.
And these topics are just like, this is a prime example of the topics that just aren't discussed. Drawdowns. There's a drawdown in every system. As I say, it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. You're going to spend most of your time in a drawdown. Your job is to work on yourself during the drawdowns and make sure that you're executing your plan with military consistency. That's all you need to do. And work on your mindset. Eliminate those fears and those greeds and put all of the effort that you're putting into trying to look up another system into that. And I promise you will start to get results that you never thought that you could get. So, do less, right? Less is more. Don't work on yourself. Go in and work on this. Don't do more. Okay. So that's a great note to finish this on, because this is about doing less to do more. Have a drink, have a coffee, have a rant, get a sense check, and continue on with your mission. So I have been Jason Graystone. This is my friend Akil
Stokes.
And we run a company called Tier 1 Trading. If this has resonated with you at all, come and join us for a couple of weeks. You'll be surrounded by all these great traders inside the chat here. It's a phenomenal atmosphere, great community, and you've got nothing to risk. So you can find all the details in the description there. And we'll be back next week for another session on the Trader Coffee Break. And so if there's anything you want to hear, let us know in the comments. And thanks for watching again. We'll see you then.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media. And remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.